Thank you, Blake, for pronouncing my name correctly. I just want to start off by saying that Greeks invented pizza and pasta. The Italians perfected it, and one thing that Union Square Hospitality Group did perfect is hospitality, and that's one thing we can all agree on. If you haven't been in their restaurants, I bet you've been somewhere that was enlightened by Danny Meyer and Union Square Hospitality Group. Danny Meyer, a previous SHA Icon Award winner, hospitality innovator himself, and the author of Setting the Table. It is my honor today to introduce Union Square Hospitality Group. I'm here to the stage to talk a little bit more about hiring hospitalitarians and the importance of building that team culture. It starts within when it comes to hospitality, and I'm really honored to introduce you and welcome you to Boston and Ci siamo and Daily Provisions and everything you're also about to do here in the city. So welcome. Patti, Simpson, it's all you now. Enjoy.
Nice to see everyone today. I am Patti Simpson. I'm the Chief Administrative Officer at Union Square Hospitality Group, responsible for the people and legal, because they always go together, you know, and our learning and development company called Hospitality Quotient. And I'm here today with some of our finest people in the company. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Patti. My name is Monzon. I'm the Senior Director of Talent for USHG. So glad to be here and very excited to talk to you about hiring hospitalitarians today.
Thank you, Patti. My name is Sullivan. I'm the Director of Operations at USHG. I oversee our full-service restaurants, including Ci siamo, which we're going to be opening here in Boston, which we're very excited about.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Hi, and my name is Joe Tarasco. I'm the Director of Operations for Daily Provisions, also longtime USHG team member, and couldn't be happier to be up here speaking to you all and about to open some restaurants in the area. Yeah.
Awesome. So we're going to talk about hospitality today and how do we find the right talent? Because if you've been to any of our restaurants, we don't always get it right. But even when we get it wrong, we hope that we make you feel better as a result of being with us. So hiring people that make you feel better because that's what they like to do is what we look for. So we're going to talk about that. And we have this idea called 100%ers. So Abe, can you tell us what a 100%er is at USHG?
Yeah, so 100%er is a concept at USHG that we definitely implement in terms of hiring. So it's basically split into, if you think of a pie, it's split into two. One is the 51%, and then the other one's 49%. And the 51% revolves around your emotional skill sets and your emotional traits. There's 6 of them. Warmth and optimism, curious intelligence, strong work ethic, self-awareness, caring empathy, and integrity. So that's 51%. The 49% would be all of your education. You're getting it at BU. You're very privileged and you have this opportunity to study at BU. That's your education, your training, your certifications, everything that you get through your technical expertise, right? So if you look at this, you can see it's a little bit tipped towards 51%. Now, it doesn't mean that we're only looking for 51%. The 49% is also critical, but it's just a little bit tipped towards 51%. And the 51 and 49 is what comprises 100%.
And you need both. 51 is a failing grade by itself, and so is 49, even for us people that are not in school. And if you look at it, the 51 is the hospitality side of it, and the 49 is the service side. And the hospitality is about being nice. And if we are nice but never serve you your food, you're not coming back. So they have to be together, or that's why we call it 100%ers. We can't be so nice and never serve any food. We can't serve food and not be nice. We won't drive revenue that way. So the 100%er is a big concept. We drive culture, and Danny had this idea many years ago that our stakeholders, and there's 5 of them, start with each other. So Megan, can you talk about how we look at our virtuous cycle of enlightened hospitality?
For sure. I'm sure many of you have heard of this sentence, the customer's always right. A lot of businesses and especially restaurants are based on that principle, and we look at things a little bit differently. We say that first, our employees come first. And the ethos there is that if we're taking care of each other first and foremost, then we'll be in a much better place to be able to take care of our guests. which in turn will be able to take care of our community, which is such a big part of our restaurants overall, which means that we can also take care of our suppliers by continuing to be busy and nurture those relationships, which obviously means that we can take care of our investors, which can then reinvest in each other. So I think that that is not just a principle we live by, but something that we actively keep in mind for day-to-day decision making. And I think is, since I joined the company, something that's a real privilege to be taken care of like that, but also be able to put our employees first when we're doing business.
Wonderful. When we start with each other, there's something that's really important. You said the guest isn't always right. Though that's the thing, they're not. They think they are, but they're not. But making them feel right even when it doesn't go the right way. And Megan, I'm going to ask you just to tell a little story. A little bit ago, a few months back, a guest booked a 200-person party at Cisiamo, which is in New York City. And it was for Wednesday at 6:30, and they showed up on Tuesday. 200 people at the door. Mm-hmm. How do we handle that? And because they were clearly wrong on the date. What do we do there?
Yeah, so it was, I still remember I got the call at 5:48.
I think we were together at that time. We were together.
We were on a phone call, and I was like, I have to go. So it's 5:40.
When she says that, I know something is not.
And it's always in like a very calm, like, I have to go.
Yeah.
Not like a, and my GM of Cisiamo called and said, we have a problem. I said, okay, what is it? And he said the buyout, so the 200 people event that we planned for the following night, the hosts are here, and all of the guests are arriving in, less than 40 minutes. And he was like, our restaurant's full. There was a Knicks game at the Madison Square Garden, which, we're close nearby, and so full. We had a private dining room space. It was winter, so there was no outdoor area. And he was like, there's nothing we can do. Like, we just have to tell them they got it wrong, our contract says this, etc. And, baked in our ethos of our culture is trying to find the yes, and, having that expansive mindset. Even though it was obviously entirely their fault that they got it wrong, it would have been very easy for us to say, I'm sorry, there's like literally nothing we can do. But we got creative. I ran into a taxi and started calling people on the way, and we thought of Daily Provisions, which is a space that's underneath Cisiamo. Very different type of space, not set up to serve 200 people at all. And so we made it happen. We had a bunch of people in that space. We called Joe. Joe emptied the place out. As I arrived, like 11 minutes later, he was sweeping.
Sweeping guests out of the dining room?
Yeah.
Thank you, you gotta leave.
And we just kind of pulled together. We called a bunch of different GMs from different restaurants, and we threw them a party, and many of the guests didn't even know it wasn't in Cisiamo. They didn't even know that it had happened differently. So, a powerful moment of seeing and feeling the company come together with that mindset of we can do anything. And I definitely, my heart rate was high that day, but we made it happen, and we're very proud of the team.
Made it happen. Thank you for sharing the story. So when we look at starting with each other, because we don't have control over the guests, clearly, if we did, they would have been there on Wednesday, we know that the guest experience or the employee experience is the guest experience. Think about if you go out to dinner. Let's say you want to sit at a bar and have dinner by yourself, if you have enough money as students to go do that. If the bartender's in a bad mood, think about what it does to you. You sit there and you feel it. Now, you're in a bad mood or you're singing and dancing for grandma, I'm trying to make them happy. The guest experience is completely tied to the employee experience. And so we have to hire the right people. So Joe, can you talk a little bit about that and what we're looking for and how we think about economic and emotional prosperity?
Yeah, thank you, Patti. So we we align our expectations with 6 behaviors. Now, these behaviors are specific to what we expect to see people demonstrate, behaviors we expect to see our team members exhibit, because we believe that the behavior is a choice, and what ensues from the right behaviors is success. Success economically, but also success when it comes to taking care of each other and taking care of the guest. When I started with USHG, we had what we called family values, and I'm so happy that we changed from the values to the behaviors, because values can be shared, but how do you bring values to life? It doesn't necessarily create success, but when we focus on the behavior, we focus on what we expect to see from team members, we now have this important filter with which we can make hiring decisions, we can make promotion decisions, and we can make challenging decisions. And the behaviors become our song sheet. We're reading off of the same song sheet so that there is a consistency with which we operate as leaders and as we operate as individuals. So I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about it, but the behaviors really are a lens that we have on as leaders, but they're also a bit of a walk the talk that we each have to have. Yeah.
When you go into a restaurant now, if you ever go out to eat, we didn't invent the hamburger, by the way. I know we have Shake Shack, but we did not invent the hamburger. So when you go into one of our restaurants, a chef might spend, 3 weeks to create a brand new dish, to get it right, get it on the table. And if you order it and it is served to your table, what's the first thing you do before you touch it? That's it. Take a picture. You guys take a picture? Raise your hand if you take a picture of your food.
So the gram eats first is what you're saying.
And so you post it. And then it goes out into the internet, and people see, oh, Gramercy Tavern, they're doing this here. And that chef doesn't get a chance to spend a lot of time with that's the new menu item, because somebody else is going to copy it like that. And we're looking at other people's Instagram posts. That's just the game we play. That we can't win by having a new menu every day. We have to win by being different. And the differentiator for us is being hospitality-led and behavior-driven. We tell our teams we want to outbehave our competition. We're not going to win just by being great at hospitality and service. The revenue is in the secret sauce, the magic of being hospitality-led. And it's not an easy thing to do. It's a super hard thing to focus on, because you get in the weeds in this business, as you can imagine. So what's a day in the life like? Would you like to tell us, Megan? Tell us, there's a lot of people that may never have worked in a restaurant. Is it easy?
No, it's not easy, but I think it's really, really rewarding. Joe and I have come from different parts of the restaurant. I've grown up in the front of house, and Joe's background is in the back of house. And I think the reason, I always wanted to be a fashion designer growing up. I was like, my parents owned restaurants, and I saw from a young age how difficult it was at running so many restaurants. They were always on. And I was like, I don't want to do that at all. I'm going to move to Paris, be a fashion designer. And then once I started working in a restaurant, I just fell in love with the energy and sense of belonging and connectivity that you get, as well as the kind of adrenaline you get from having so much fun, both taking care of people and also just the environment. It really allows for you to activate a lot of different parts of yourself. And that for me is what I found the most rewarding. But yeah, it's tough. By nature, you're giving almost all of the time, because you're taking care of people. So there's a natural exchange of energy that happens that to sustain both enjoying it and doing it for a long time, you really have to work out how to give back to yourself and make sure that you're balancing that, because you're giving a lot of yourself. And people come to restaurants in all types of moods, and you've got to be the thing that adjusts to that, to be able to take care of them in the way that they want. We have this saying of, what does their sign say? And imagining that if a guest had an invisible sign at the top of their head, like, what are they asking for? And you can tell that from body language, you can tell that from tone of voice, the way they're speaking, etc. So yeah, a day in a life in a restaurant is fun, hard, stressful, busy, but we always start the day with something we call pre-shift or line-up. So before every shift, we get together as a team and stand in a circle and talk about what the day's going to look like. And I always see it as the moment that you kind of transfer from your outside life, outside of the four walls of the restaurant, to really being present in that space, because you need to, forget about those things in your mind, because they'll be quickly replaced with the many things you have to do. But it's a lot of fun.
A lot of fun. Joe, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, thank you. I want to just pick on one thing you said, right? The idea of how much we have to give. And I think to do this work and to do it well and do it happily, you have to care much more about giving than receiving. You have to care more about making other people's experiences richer than worrying about what you're going to get out of it. And I think in turn, when you do that, you end up, if you really care about giving and making people happy, you end up actually being the one that receives more in the scenario. So I think that's hard though, and it's hard because it's hard work, and it is challenging long hours, and whether you're in the kitchen or on the floor, like it's not easy. And so if your heart is not in it and you are not excited by the work that you're doing and the work of caring for others, every day is going to be too long, too hard, money's not enough, like you name it, there will never be a shortage of reasons to not want to do it. But boy, if you want to and you're in it for the right reason, then every day is a gift. And every day can be hard.
Yeah.
Because look, all roads lead through operations. Megan and I were kind of, we were having a rich discussion earlier about
So
how
good.
all roads lead through operations. Because when you're in operations, everything that happens falls under your purview, right? So you also have to be someone who is excited by the dynamic nature of the role and excited by the things flying at you, and almost find some kind of joy in the chaos. And regardless of how much we might talk to each other about how the chaos is so chaotic, we love it. And that is just the reality. You kind of have to like that energy too. So I think a day in the life, the fun thing, I'm sure I can speak for Megan as well, every day feels a little bit different, even though it looks quite similar. But when your heart's in it and your mind's in it, then all of that is fun work to do. And so I think that's something that, for me, I got into this industry actually trying to avoid being in the industry. I knew I loved cooking. I knew I wanted to cook. I knew I wanted to be in restaurants, but my brain was like, no way. Weekends, holidays, I want to be with my family. You'd be silly to do this. Don't do it. And then 4 years into adulthood, I'm like, I got to do this. So I was going to college, I dropped out of school, I went to the CIA in Hyde Park in New York, became a chef, and I never looked back because I actually tried to avoid it and I couldn't. And I think it's a little bit like I wasn't going to be a fashion designer. I don't know what I was. But you just, when there's a chemistry for this industry, you just can't avoid it. And I think the people that I have worked with, who I've had the most fun working with, who've gone on to be successful, have gone on to be filled with just joy for doing the work. It was just work they couldn't avoid. They just loved it.
Yeah.
Just couldn't think of anything else they'd rather do. And so that to me is the camaraderie, to be in a restaurant, to be in an operation with people from every different walk of life and sharing that common thread. That's the special sauce. And I think our organization has done a wonderful job over the years of attracting people who care about doing the work for the right reason and want to work with people who want to do it at a high level. And so that's why I'm proud to call this crew part of my team, but also, why it's hard work, but it's rewarding work.
One thing you said reminded me of not every day's the same, and one of the most refreshing things I think in hospitality is whatever happened yesterday is completely gone. In a different environment other than hospitality, a mistake you made yesterday might bleed into the work you do the next day. At hospitality, every day is a clean slate. Those guests are different guests from the previous day, and you have a chance to meet another 200, 300, 400, depending how many people you're serving that day, all different people. And the fact that you have an opportunity to make their day or a life experience magical is very, very rewarding. So I think that makes up for all of the tough parts about the industry, is when you have those moments where you feel like you really made a meaningful impact on somebody's life, whether that be an employee, in a manager role. I think that gets more and more important to be employees, because you don't get the same connectivity with guests, but that for me is the why I keep doing it.
Awesome.
And what I want to add, I could agree more with what Megan and Joe said. I think from a hiring standpoint, that's exactly what we're looking for. Someone who would be very passionate and very driven and very interested in really the operation side of things and the hospitality side of things. Because if you think about it, we have a lot of other departments in our, we call it the home office, right? We have marketing, we have tech, people, legal, facilities, but all of these departments should support operations because our businesses are with the operations team. Like that's the core of who we are, and we need to make sure that whatever decisions we make is helping the operations team so that their businesses will continue to thrive.
It's often said in our industry that there are no cash registers in the home office. All of the work happens at the restaurant, and we start every day with 0 guests. We don't know who is coming in. Even if they tell us they're coming, they may not come on the same day. So it is a business where you have to earn every guest, and you have to keep every employee. So Abe, what other kinds of jobs could people be successful? I'm looking at this crowd, and not everybody wants to. We work when people play. So if you are going out for Mother's Day, we're going to be working, you'll be out with your family, or if it's Christmas, or if it's New Year. So what kind of jobs can people do, hourly, salary? What can the crowd look forward to if they're looking on our website and understanding more about us?
Yeah, there's several things. First of all, you've heard it, you know it, we're opening here. There's going to be a lot of opportunities here in Boston from, front of the house perspective, back of the house. I'll mention this, although the recruiting for this has already been done for this year. There's also a summer internship program. I think it's and I see some familiar faces here, some of which joined our summer internship program the previous years, and some might have applied recently. That's a very good introduction for you to really be exposed to kind of working in USHG, working in hospitality. You get you get our leaders, you get the mentorship part of it too. And that can also be a time for you to think, where do I want to go? Now that I'm seeing this, now that I'm being exposed to operations, now that I'm being exposed to all of these departments, where do I really want to take myself? Because your idea right now might be completely different once you start doing the job, right? So, and then we have other positions, whether it's, I mentioned some of the departments already. I think tech is a very important thing right now with the rise of technology, with AI. I'm sure you're studying AI a lot. How do we include that in making sure that we're still taking care of our people, but at the same time, we're embracing this technology and figuring out how we can make the operators' jobs easier, right? So these are some of the positions that we're thinking of, we're doing. If you go online, you might see some of the positions that we have open. And I think it's a good start for you to, as you figure out what you'll be doing in your career.
Wonderful. Something I want to say about our industry. It is not easy, and it's not always glamorous. And as I was coming up through the ranks as a server and a bartender and a manager and all these things to get where I sit today, I had been a teacher, and I worked my way to make enough money to buy a car and do rent. And there was this thing where, and you might not have ever heard this, where you had to kind of tell people, I'm doing this until I get my real job, right? Restaurants are the place to go until you get your real job. Damn it, this is my real job. And it's honorable work.
Our real job.
Our real job.
Yeah.
And it is, excuse my cursing, it's a great opportunity. If this is where you want to be, do it. It is the best career if this is what you want to do. And if you were to ask Danny, how long do you want people to stay at our restaurant company? He'll say, I just want people to join and stay just a little longer than they thought they would. You don't have to work in a restaurant company forever, but you will learn so much about life, about yourself, about the business. And we are so proud to be frontline workers that take on the humanity, and we're a safe place in the world right now for people to come and eat and just get away from the noise. We don't have TVs in all of our restaurants like blaring out the news, and it's a crazy time. So we get a chance to make people feel better every single day when they come into our business. And if you're interested at all, we're all available to, after this, we'll be doing the networking. Whatever we can do to help. And I know we have a couple minutes until we go to Q&A, but just know that if somebody says, ooh, you're going to go do that work, yeah, I am, and I'm going to have a blast doing it. And I'm going to meet some of the best people in the world and get to travel around the world maybe and do some really, really fun things. So don't shy away because other people don't get it. It's okay. If you get it, that's all that matters. Mom and Dad will get over it, I promise. All right, any last words before we go to Q&A? We have 4 minutes and 3 seconds.
You take two, I take two. Or you...
I was going to say maybe there'll be 4 minutes and 3 seconds more questions.
Okay. Anything else that anybody wants to say? All right. Well, we can open it up to questions if that's all right. Shout out. Yes?
I'm wondering what you both have in common that enables you to thrive in operations. Sorry. You're both thriving in operations, and I'm wondering what traits or characteristics you have in common that is conducive to really doing well in that crazy environment.
All right, we'll both answer, but you go first.
Okay. Well, as I said, we have very different paths of how we got here, right? We had very different jobs prior to these ones within the restaurant. I think that we also do our jobs quite differently. I think by nature of just style and leadership, I think the way we achieve the same thing, we get there in slightly different paths. I think the things we have that are similar are grit and tenacity, a deep care for our people, but also what we do. A lot of passion and a lot of heart in really believing that the work we do is meaningful. And I think we also have a resilience that allows for you to not get knocked down by the things that come every day in restaurants. Because if you let those sink in too hard, then you won't get back up each time. And I think we've both built that in different ways that's allowed us to be successful.
Thanks for leaving a little bit for me.
I'll try to answer the question worse next time, just for you. You did let me go first, so
As you should have.
You made that path.
All right, so all of those things end. And I think we share, we both have such a high energy for this role. I mean, we are just on. I think that is something I look for when even just hiring and recruiting. I just look for some fire behind the eyes. Are you going to want to go for this? Because I don't care how smart you are or how talented. If you are not up for this, I don't see it working. And I think we are up for it. And so I think that we share that energy and that passion. I think we're also drivers to some degree. And as Megan said, we have different styles, but we both we demand success. We want results. We want to win. We are highly competitive. There is nothing about just going through the motions that is fun or satisfying. So I think we both have a high desire to win, and we are competitive in that sense. I want to just underline, I think the other part is we're both servant leaders, and I think we both really care deeply about the people we work with. So, we have a passion, I think, for putting others first, whether it is the guest or it's our team members. We have a really good relationship, so we might commiserate here and there. We're peers, but at the end of the day, we really we care most about making sure the people that we work with have what they need to succeed. So I think those are just some traits that we share that.
And I just want to add to that too, because I work very closely with Megan and Joe. They have this clear desire to really take care of the leaders below them, right? Which is a very, very important task of a leader, because they want to make sure that all of these leaders will also step up and eventually, hopefully, take over their positions as they grow in the organization. So I've seen that in action, where they're concerned about what's going to happen with the team, because they want to ensure that they also have a path of growth moving forward.
Thank you for the question.
Is one right here? Or where?
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for being here today. Megan, you mentioned that every day is this clean slate in the hospitality industry. I was curious just how you prepare for that every day, and do you find that it permeates into your personal life as well?
It's a good question. No doubt, I think learning how for it not to is a learning curve, but I think that that's probably true for a lot of industries as well. There is something finite about the fact that the work ends at the end of the day that is helpful, because when you go home at night, there's nothing you can do to fix it. You can't log onto a laptop to keep serving the guests that already went home that you forgot the drink of. I've definitely woken up in the middle of the night like, oh my God, I forgot that thing. So it does, but I think you have to learn how to distance yourself from it. My family's in hospitality, as I said. My brother works in hospitality now, and my sister's a nurse. And it's really interesting to talk to her about the differences in what we do. And obviously she takes care of people in a different way, but in a similar kind of way, you can't really do the work without physically being present, and you also can't really let it fully consume you when you go home. So I think there's a learning curve for sure, but it is tricky and I definitely have spent a decent amount of time trying to work through it, because when you care deeply, like we both do, it can extend past just the work, especially when you care about people. And restaurants are a place that people get into from various different paths, and then many stay for a long time. And so I've always seen my responsibility to the people I work with as not just making them better leaders, but that can, as we said, translate into becoming better people. So yeah, it's not easy, but it's possible. Thank you.
There's a question here. You have a microphone, and then up to you. Yeah.
I got the mic. Is it on? Yeah. So I know your restaurants have no people in there every day, but I have a strong suspicion that a high percentage of the people coming in that day have come in before, because that drives your economic flywheel. So all the repeat usage, lifetime value. Could you tell us a little bit about how you organize for that, and are there roles, opportunities in that sort of side of things?
Absolutely. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about 7 rooms and how we're all about connecting and collecting dots, and there's a big role in that.
Yeah, so as Abe was saying, we really use the tech that we have now to amplify that and be able to allow us to give even better guest experience as a result of collecting information. So we use a program called 7 Shifts, which is our reservation platform. So if you came in for dinner, 7 rooms, thank you. If you came in for dinner at Chisiamo, for example, and we had a note on what you do, or maybe you dined at one of our other restaurants and that server had picked up that you really loved this glass of wine, they would write notes in that. So we use that as the way we collect dots and information to share. But then we spend a lot of time making sure that we do something with that, because it's all great and well to have all of this data, but if nothing's going to happen, then it's pointless. So we have a next day report. Every single day we get a report of all of the guests that are coming in that next day. And even Danny reads that report every single day, and we look for dots and information. If we see a Boston University email address, then we'll look further and dig deeper. And then when it comes to the actual day, we have meetings twice a day to go through the reservation book, to also, again, for the restaurant leaders that are working that day, to understand who's coming in. And then we share that at pre-shift as well. And then when you get sat in one of the restaurants, the server who's taking care of that table will go to the iPad, look at your profile, and then, again, make sure that they have all the information to give you that guest experience. So if you've told us it's a birthday, they'll come over and say, happy birthday, it's so great to have you here. So that obviously drives people being seen and coming back. And then we have the information as if they're a first-time guest, if they've been here before, they're a regular at another restaurant. And then we, again, write a report at the end of the night that says, okay, this gentleman came in, he worked at Boston University, he joined with his family, we sent them an extra focaccia because they only had 1 for a table of 6, and then that goes to the same people that got the next day report. So there's like a full life cycle of what we do with that, and it's ingrained into our culture so much that the frontline team see that as essential to their job, and I think that's really the difference maker. Because a lot of companies have data on their guests, but I don't think as many companies do as much as much with it as we do.
And just a quick addition to that, because I think that brings a concept that we have at USHG called transfer of care. where in Megan's example, you've seen how many people were involved in that process, right? But we're all on the same page in terms of caring for the guests because everything is there. So no matter who's in charge for that particular day or time, they would know it. And even the report the following day, whoever sees it, they would know it. So we're transferring the care of from our team members to the guests, and it's a consistent level of care that we give our guests.
I actually want to also, as the behavior guy right here, we have a behavior, write a great next chapter, right? So the road to success is paved with mistakes well handled. So Megan has brought up a bit of a proactive approach in how we want to use our tech to create great experiences, but we also want to use our mistakes and how we react and respond to those mistakes to create repeat guests. Because, you know, if something happens, a mistake happens, it's an honest mistake, that happens. But when it does, how we respond and how we go above and beyond to show you that we care enough to make up for that mistake, we actually see that so many people give us some of the most significant raves about their experience after we messed up and then did something better to make up for it. And I mean, even though the 200 guests showing up wasn't our fault, we would have responded the exact same way. That's the behavior. We would have responded that way to help make up for it. And so I do think that we lean on our behaviors and our desire to take care of people and to make up for those mistakes and go above and beyond is another way another tool we have to grow a regular base.
And that those guests have already booked their buyout this year. So.
Yeah, I hope they come on the right day. All right, you had a question up here.
Yeah. Hi, my name's Fritz Azir. I'm a sophomore here at Boston University. And I have kind of like two quick questions. One of them was, because we live in such a technological driven world and we have so many different technology everywhere in these platforms, how do you guys in your training make sure that when you enter a guest and you have that guest experience that you guys are still having that sort of human connection and the authenticity that's always been important when talk in this space specifically? And another question that I had real quick was, being that I'm trying to be like a student entrepreneur, I have like some ideas I want to build and create here. And you, Joe, you said that you dropped out and you still took a leap of faith. And Patti, you were saying the same thing, kind of how like you saw it and you didn't really you weren't discouraged by others and your opinions. Like, how do you keep that sort of mindset going, especially at a younger age when like you still don't know what the future holds for you?
I'll take the tech one first. So, because there's so much tech going on in the world right now, we believe in meeting people where they are. And also that high tech enables high touch. If technology is going to make it easier for the guests, some people, they don't want to get online and make a reservation. They want to call somebody. We still have, 7 or 8 people every day sitting in a room taking calls, making reservations, because a lot of our guests are older. We're 40 years old this year in Union Square Cafe. So those guests want that high touch here. I would never call anybody for a reservation. No way, no how, unless I was doing a party for 500 people. I want to get on the app and just do that. So the high tech that I need meets the high touch, and those two things come together for us. Tech will never replace high touch. It just amplifies it, as we talked about that before. It's really important to us that we are a transformational technology kind of company. We've spent a lot of time on it because that's where the world is going. So if it makes work easier, if technology could cut the onions, we would have them do it. Like that is not work anyone enjoys. Well, maybe there's somebody, it isn't us. So yeah. As far as, I think, I talk to a lot of people in your position. I don't subscribe that you have to go have an icky job first. You don't have to do your time somewhere. Find something you love. Find a company you respect and go do that work. And if you get your icky job, quickly work on finding the next thing because you deserve to be happy. You don't have to go do something you don't want to do. So I would say chase your passion. And pay your rent. But, mom and dad want you to pay your rent, but make sure you chase your passion and don't give up on it because it's so easy to say, I got the title, I'm on LinkedIn, everyone knows, and then you lead a soulless life because it's not where you want to be. So chase something you really want to do, and you'll know it. Because if you get up on a Monday and think, oh, I want to go do this today, you're not doing the work you're really meant to do. And chase and find it, and have the courage to make a change.
Maybe you're not doing the work, or maybe you're not working with the people you want to work with. Because I think sometimes you can be loving the work, but if you don't love who you're working with, you're going to spend a lot of time with those people. So you want to make sure they're ones that you can have rich conversations with and fun with.
Everybody thinks much about what other people think about them. The only thing that matters is what you think about yourself, and if the work that you're doing is helping you achieve the goals that you have. Or even if you don't know what you want to do 20 years from now, if the work you're doing today is work that you can wake up and say, I'm proud to do this, I'm having fun doing this, do it. Because the other thing that we all know for sure, we can't write our futures. Like, you can have an idea about where you want to end up, but we can't script life. So, maybe call me a bit of a testament to that, in the sense of, I got into kitchen work and I loved being a chef. I really did. And I never thought I'd trade in my chef coat for a sports coat, but here I am talking to you guys with my blazer on, and I'm happy.
Looks good, Joe.
Yeah, it's right? But when you're doing the work that you care about and you're having fun doing that work, all of a sudden the blocks start stacking on top of each other, and you will end up somewhere that you're happy to be. But worrying about, everyone's going to have an opinion. And look, it's fair to have to consider the thoughts of the people that respect you and trust you and love you and are giving you that feedback with love. But like, everyone else can take a hike. So you just have to be honest with yourself about what you're doing, and that you care about the work enough to keep doing it.
I really like the thing you said, about you can't plan out your life. Like, I'm from Australia, I lived there my whole life, worked for a hospitality company for 8 years there, and I had this structured plan, my 5-year plan, my 10-year plan, this is where I was going to be. And then I moved to New York 6 months before the pandemic. And I think there's so much pressure these days to have everything figured out as soon as you graduate. But have some fun and work with people that you want to work with and try things out. And if you go in to every role with, I'm going to learn something here, whether it's a leader I don't want to be or whatever, then, as Joe said, you've got to trust in that process, because it'll keep leading you to where you want to go if you believe in that call.
Yeah. And I just want to add, do a self-assessment in terms of what drives you, the things that really make you excited, the things that, when you wake up at night, you're so, okay, I want to do this. So what drives you and what drains you?
Yeah.
What are the things that you do that you feel so exhausted after doing it, or it doesn't give you joy? Right? So think about your drivers and your drainers. And then the other thing that I would add, and to all of you, like the students who are here, you need to find joy in waiting. Because I think when you're a student, you want to graduate. When you're a graduate, you want to have a job. When you have a job, you want to be promoted. And you all want it to happen very quickly.
And then
right?
when you have that job, you want to be back to doing the fun stuff.
There you go,
again.
yeah.
It's like the full...
So I think you need to find joy in waiting and make sure that, this is a wonderful time that you're studying. Some of you are about to graduate. Enjoy it. Enjoy the moment, savor it, because the work is going to be there. You will find jobs. Believe me. Eventually, you will find jobs, but you need to just savor this moment and make the most out of it.
Mm-hmm. It's so important to remember that let's say you're 21 years old, 22 years old when you graduate, and you're looking for a job and you can't find it. You're not going to go the next 60 years with never having gotten a job. You will work, and it will happen. So don't put the pressure. I mean, obviously do what you have to do to pay your bills and take care of yourself and your family, but don't go crazy, and do enjoy these years go so fast in college, and then when they're done, and they're a blessing to go through, even though they're hard in their own way. Mm-hmm.
It's me again.
Hi, me again.
For you. And not to scare you, because I know you'll do well and succeed, but historically, a lot of outside restaurant groups haven't done well in Boston. I believe Boston is a market that really praises and is loyal to their local chefs or local operators and their local, restaurants and neighborhood spots. What is your plan as USHG coming into Boston to make yourselves feel more Boston than New York? Mm-hmm. It goes back to the Yankees versus Red Sox.
Yeah.
From a hiring thank you, Demetri. From a hiring standpoint, we want to make sure that we're ingrained in Boston. We want to make sure that we hire folks who understand this market, who's from here. We want to build all of these partnerships with all of you. We're not going to be a New York City company that goes to Boston. We are a restaurant that we want to be here, and we want to make partnerships. We want to be here. We want to be a complement to all of the great work that Boston is doing. You have a lot of outstanding restaurants here, and we want to be a complement to that. And again, from a hiring standpoint, we want to ensure that we're hiring folks from here. So I want to start with that.
Yeah. I started with doing my research on the Celtics and the Red Sox. I was like, it seems like those two teams are very important to Boston. So why are you laughing at me, Joe? I grew up in a place where there's no American football, baseball, all basketball.
All right, so Union Square Hospitality Group, we kind of are a bit heavy on our sports analogies.
Very
and
heavy.
So Megan, usually we have a little banter back and forth about all the sports analogies that I know, and then I'm like, oh yeah, baseball's the sport with the bat and the ball. Anyways, but yeah, it's good.
But I think we're very conscious of not coming in with an attitude of we're a New York restaurant here for Boston. We've spent a lot of time, Chisiamo was a restaurant in New York. It was a brand that I started as the general manager, and Chef Hillary and I spent 6 months ideating what Chisiamo is. So I feel very connected to what the brand is. And then we're spending a lot of time working out what Boston wants and needs and feels, and how Chisiamo should differ in Boston than in New York. And that's come through in how we're designing the space, how big the bar is, how approachable it is, how you can come for various different types of experiences. And then I think the second thing is we have a lot of connections and ties to Boston in several different ways, and we're open and eager to learn. We're coming in with a humble approach of very excited to be here in Boston, but really open, here to learn and here to understand what Boston feels like it needs, and hopefully be able to adapt to be able to be that, but also know that we have really good food and our service is incredible, and we believe in that quality and hope that we can do what it takes to make it feel like a gift rather than something that we're just throwing at it.
Yeah, something that you just said kind of made me think of this idea that as we talk about what we're going to do with Daily Provisions, we want you to choose us each day, not tell you why you need us, but to say we want to be there for you the way that you want us to be, and in all the ways that matter to you throughout your day, so that you choose us over someone else. But at the same time, I think about, you guys have talked about some of the higher level stuff. Like, I think in order for us to show you how much we are grateful to be a part of the community, we're going to make sure that the exterior of our building is clean all the time, that the sidewalk is clean, that we keep the lights on, right? Like the kind of things that just make you feel better about being in your community, and you look around and say, thank God Daily Provisions is here. It just feels better on that corner with them here. So we have to do the small things as well as the big things enough to say, we're grateful that you've accepted us into the community, not you should be grateful that we're here. It's got to be the other way around. So we just have to behave that way, that we're the ones that are grateful to have this opportunity.
Great. Thank you. Yes.